And we're back now. It's been a busy few days for Mohamed Salah. Firstly, scoring the winner for Liverpool against Brighton on Saturday. But then on Sunday, he was letting his fingers, not his feet, do the talking as he dropped an Instagram post which got a lot of theories moving on social media about what the reason was behind that post, what the real intention was for Mo, what's happening in his future. But, as I say, it was a good weekend for him on the pitch, and it was a good weekend for Liverpool as well, with Manchester City, Arsenal and Aston Villa all losing, and of course Liverpool coming from behind to beat Brighton, courtesy of that Mo Salah winner. So with that Instagram post he dropped on Sunday, now it seemed to say a lot of things without really saying anything at all. So the question is, like, what is going on with Mo Salah right now? And the best place to start really is to start on the pitch, because that's really what matters. You know, get away from all the drama. What is happening on the pitch is the most important thing. Now this season, if we're looking at the Premier League, he's played 10 matches. He scored 7 goals. He's got 5 assists. Now if you're into XG, good for you. He's got 5.7 XG. And if you're into XA, then wow, you're way ahead of the game. He's got 3 XA. So if you look at those stats, I mean, very basically, you can see that he's overperforming with goals and assists. Now, clinical is the word that I keep coming back to with Mo Salah, because there's only been 2 matches in the Premier League this season where he hasn't registered a goal or an assist for Liverpool. One was the defeat to Forest, and one was the 1-0 win at Palace, where he was withdrawn after 72 minutes. Now, his defensive stats and his stats for passing and progressive carries and such like, now they're not spectacular, but his ability to rise to the occasion and dictate the narrative of big games, well, it's unparalleled, I think, for Liverpool, what he's seen in recent years, and probably across the Premier League, because he's been doing it consistently year in, year out. Now, aside from, say, like dribbling, which tails off for all players when, you know, they reach a certain age, believe me, there's actually been very little change in Salah's metrics between his first season for Liverpool and today. But if we're talking about him being a big game player, it's good to have a look at the game against Brighton this weekend just gone. Now, we actually had the fewest touches that he's had all season in the Premier League. He had just 29 touches in the game. Now, to put that into a bit of context, his highest was 54 against Forest, but his average number of touches per game is 40.5. So obviously 29 is much lower than that. He just wasn't quite involved with the game. He couldn't get into it. He was on the periphery a little bit, but he had 3 shots in total, 2 on target, and 1 was the goal. Now, obviously, Salah scored that winner. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That was his 48th match-winning goal in the Premier League. Now, there's just 5 other players who've scored more in the competition than that. Now, he is a big game player, but he's not one of these players who, you know, a flat track bully, I think they call it. He's not just scoring against smaller teams or medium-sized teams. Not that Brighton are a medium-sized team. They're actually a very good, very, very good team, I think, this season. But Mo Salah does it consistently against the big guns, you know. We know what he can do against Manchester United. We've seen him torture United over the season. He scored a goal against United again this season at Old Trafford. So that's 12 goals and 6 assists against Manchester United. Scored against Arsenal recently, of course. That's 11 goals and 2 assists. He's got 9 goals and 2 assists against Spurs. 7 goals and 4 assists against Man City. 5 goals and 3 assists against Chelsea. So you can see he's a big game player, and he's a player for the big moments against the big teams. And we're going to need a big game player. You know, we've got Aston Villa on Saturday, but then there is, I think, like a 2-week international break. After Southampton on November 24th, there's a big run of games. Real Madrid, Manchester City, Newcastle United, and Everton, which will probably be the last time that Liverpool ever play at Goodison Park. It'll be the last Merseyside derby there. And whatever you think of Everton on the pitch, that's going to be a massive game with a huge atmosphere, very difficult. But these are the kind of atmospheres that Mo Salah thrives in. You know, after that, the remaining 6 matches in December are all against teams that you'd expect Liverpool to beat. But the schedule is very intense, with 8 games in total for the Reds across December. Now, the good news is that despite it being an always hectic month, Mo Salah tends to do well in the Christmas period, and there just isn't a better month than December for Mo Salah when it comes to his average goal scoring number. He loves it. He thrives off rhythm and he thrives off intensity. And he's never been the player who's been overly rotated for Liverpool, whether it be under Jurgen Klopp or Arne Slot. Which brings us to his Instagram post. Now, I'll read it out word for word. It says, top of the table is where this club belongs. Nothing less. All teams win matches, but there's only one champion in the end. That's what we want. Thank you for your support last night. No matter what happens, I'll never forget what scoring at Anfield feels like. Now, lots of people have different theories about what he actually means by this, whether he's about to embark on a farewell tour for the rest of the season. Has he made up his mind he doesn't want to sign for Liverpool? Has he made up his mind that he's going to sign for someone, a pre-contract for someone in January? I think it's difficult to tell. Me personally, I think this is maybe a little bit of a sign to get the contract over the line with the hierarchy at Liverpool. Does he want more money? I don't know. He's said to be on like 350 grand a week at Liverpool now. I can't see Liverpool increasing that. I don't think his worth has increased. But he is the highest earner there. Maybe there's issues on Liverpool's side with keeping him as the higher earner. Maybe Trent wants to be that. Maybe Virgil wants to be that. There's a lot of moving parts here. I have no idea how it works there. The feeling is possibly like the deal could be maybe stalled about the amount of time on the contract. Maybe Salah thinks he's worth 3 years. Maybe the club thinks he's worth 1 or 2 years. I don't know. They tend not to be giving out long contracts, or even contracts over the year for players once they hit that magic mark of 30, 31. Now, can Mo Salah continue to be effective for the next 2 or 3 seasons? Would he be worth a contract of 2 or 3 seasons? Now, he's 32 at the moment. He looks incredible. He's 32. Now, if he signed, say, a 3-year contract, that would take him up to being right on 36 for when his contract would have expired. Could he do it for that long? I don't know. He's doing it right now. But last season, maybe even the season before, he wasn't quite there. No one was really clamouring for him to sign that contract and get him nailed down for a couple more years there. There's a feeling there maybe he can't continue how he is, but he sees himself in that same level of Messi and Ronaldo, players who can play beyond the years, players who can kind of defy science, sports science. He can keep going. He looks incredible, works hard. I think he's got a lot to give football. I don't think he's finished by any means. As soon as he hits 32, 33, 34, all this kind of stuff. Mo Salah is a freak of nature. He can continue for a couple more seasons. Whether that means he should sign for Liverpool for 3 seasons, I don't know. As I say, there's a lot of moving parts. But Mo Salah will want to stay at Liverpool. I think we saw it a couple of years ago when he signed that contract extension. I think there was talk there of him realising that Liverpool was his club. He wasn't using the club as a stepping stone to something else like we've seen other players kind of do in the past. And I was getting a little bit heartbroken by that because no one wants to be that, even though lots of teams are that for us. We don't want to be for Real Madrid or Barcelona or whatever, and we've seen players do that. I think Mo Salah had the realisation that Liverpool and Mo Salah go together, and he'll always be associated with Liverpool. I think from that moment he was kind of all in, and I think he's still all in. I think he is obsessed with putting himself in this higher echelon of players, and he's just obsessed with breaking records, and he's broken a few already this season. He's chipping away. I think this season he can realistically overtake Thierry Henry and Frank Lampard in the Premier League goal scoring charts. I think he's 11 behind Henry, 13 behind Frank Lampard. If he signs on for another year or 2 years maybe, I think he can realistically overtake Harry Kane on 213 goals. But he's got no chance of beating Alan Shearer on 260 goals. I don't think anyone's going to be beating that at any time soon. Now, when it comes to Liverpool FC goal scoring records, he's currently 8 goals away from matching Billy Liddell's total of 228 goals. Now, that should be reached soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe even before Christmas. And there's a realistic chance of him getting past Gordon Hodgson and moving into 3rd place. Now, Hodgson has 241 goals. Mo Salah is only 21 goals behind him. That is something that he's going to be looking at this season, moving into 3rd place in Liverpool's all-time goal-scoring chart. He's not going to be catching Roger Hunt and Ian Rush, but there's no great shame in that. No one's going to be breaking Ian Rush's record at any time soon. If anyone does, they'll be an absolute alien. Who knows? So there's no doubt in my mind that Salah wants to stay. But you think does FSG's obsession with younger players who, they can have a sell-on fee and all that kind of stuff, does that override keeping a genuine club legend who's actually still performing to a very high standard, keeping them at the club? What's more important? How do you replace Mo Salah? Can you do it on the cheap? I don't think you can. So there's a lot of questions to be asked and answered. If Salah leaves on a free, I think there'd be a lot of questions to hit the hierarchy there. If Virgil and Trent both leave on a free, then there's, I'm no FSG outer. I think all that kind of stuff is very, very silly. But you've got to ask questions if 3 players move on for nothing. Personally, I think Salah is going to stay. I think they'll figure it out. 2-year deal maybe. Same for Virgil. I think Trent might leave. I hope they all stay because I think they're all brilliant. But that's what I think will happen. Mo Salah, I think, will continue to have a record-breaking season. Hopefully, that attitude of him wanting to be a champion, going early with these kind of shouts of, come on, we are where we deserve to be, I think that will inspire the players around him. I think it's great to see. I don't think it's cockiness. I think it's overwhelming confidence. So, Mo Salah's tweet or Instagram post, whatever it was, hopefully that can be the catalyst for moving this impasse on to the next stage. And hopefully at some point, maybe it'll be Christmas Day, we'll get that traditional picture of Mo and his family in his PJs. Maybe he'll be opening a present and it'll be a contract to sign. Who knows? That'll be a great Christmas present for all Liverpool fans everywhere. So up Mo Salah, up the Reds.